Hello, hello. Welcome
Hello.
to welcome to With Wisdom, embodying energy, embracing the seasons with Gabriela Alvarez. And
Me, Sanjay Surya. Thank you. Sorry I interrupted you, Gabby, then.
sorry, no problem. So, welcome. We continue with our May episodes, and we wanted to share a little bit about our experience with writing and writing as a tool for pruning and making space and cleaning, like we were sharing in the opening of the month, like the need to create space for the flowers to bloom.
Mm,
And yeah, I'm curious, Sam, how is writing a process for you to organize your experiences, or to digest, or to express, or how do you use writing in your
mm.
life?
I use writing a lot. I don't have a different kind of journals and different types of writing. I use not every morning. I wouldn't say morning pages. I know that people do this every day, but I will pick up my journal and I'll scribble down something that might come into my head. It might be a dream, it might be a thought, it might be a rant about something that's happened and it's out, whatever it is. And then I do have a gratitude journal that I use. Again, it could be scribbles, it could be photos. I use a variety of different ways to use that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I gather ideas. I gather them into like I suppose I use my journals like gathering baskets of ideas that I
Mm-hmm.
can go back and have a look at.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a number of, you can't see this, but I've got a number of journals on my windowsill. In fact, actually, I'll very briefly,
Mm-hmm.
quotes, sun, sky, seasons, shadow, So
Wow.
it's like a,
Uh-huh.
whoops, that one's like all about coaching journeys. And
Can I
there's
ask you
more.
the one for the coaching? So
Yeah.
do you like randomly choose the motive or the of the notebook, or
No.
they choose you, or you
No.
choose them with
This one, I mean, this has been going since 2015. So it's nearly finished because I only put certain things about coaching in here.
mm.
That's because I'm a Hobbit fan. That's why I
Oh,
chose that one.
yeah.
This one was a postcard with a crow, and it was, for me, it's like the magpieing, not crows, like magpies, that often, carrying birds will kind of go and grab something that they find that's quite special. This was a
Mhm.
gift. So, and then I have my own journals which I make, which are stories and ideas. So I've got, and there's more over there, but I like that kind of feel. I feel like they're my own library. That's
Mhm.
it. That's it. It's my library of ideas.
Mm.
And so in that library of ideas, there'll be one little phrase or one word or one passage that I can then pull on to do more writing. So actually, I pulled on a piece that I wrote in 2023,
Mhm.
May 2023. I was on a writing retreat outside in the woods, and I wrote a piece around a hawthorn tree.
Mm.
And after our meditation, and when we discussed the hawthorn recently, I kind of went looking for it and I found it, and now I've brought it to life, and I am bringing it to life again and
Mm.
adding another layer.
Mhm.
Nothing may happen with it, but it's a chance for me to sort of revisit those ideas and pick something out.
Mm.
What about you? What do you do?
Yeah, no, before I'm sharing,
Oh,
yeah, because I got more curious about your writing. I mean, when do you write since you were young? Did you already thought about writing a book, like you already did, and you are
yeah.
now writing your second book, or is something that emerged organically? How it was for you to
Mm.
become a writer, to become an author, and
So, I mean, I wrote from when I was a child. I remember sending in stories to like a TV program it was called Blue, I think it's still on, Blue Peter. where they had these story competitions, and I was very keen to get my stories in. They were never picked, but that's
Yeah.
fine. It was this kind of opportunity to share stories. And I think through my teaching career and being a head teacher, I always, I was surrounded by stories. Stories are really important to me in the
Mm-hmm.
sharing with the children. Um, and often through a story, you can share a challenging idea,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and through the form of a story. And as I watched and I invited authors into the schools to talk to the children about their work,
Mm-hmm.
my own stories were like queuing like buses in my head. And
Mm-hmm.
it was giving myself permission to write, which I have written about, this to getting away from the I think it's a more of a self-belief thing,
Mm-hmm.
in reminding myself that actually my words do have power to me, and if they land well with somebody else, they have power for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think first and foremost, I had to strip away some of these notions of who a writer is, who
Mm-hmm.
can be an author, who can get a book published, that stuff, which I have blogged about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was important.
Yeah. Mm.
And it still rears its head. There were times when I'm writing and I think, oh, who's gonna read this? It's just a little, who's gonna read this? And I share it with someone, they say, oh, that was really beautiful, or that was really moving, and I think, okay, so it has an impact.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well, I'm listening to you. I realize I always wrote, but in a way it was a way to have a conversation with myself and with
Mm.
life, because even when I read books, they are alive. No, when I was a kid, they were alive. The characters in the books, they became part of my life, and when the book was closed, they didn't stop living, no, for me. They were like in my daily life, and writing was that way also to interact with my life in a different way. And
Mm.
I used to I didn't share what I was writing because it was quite intimate or personal. I just share it with very, when I had, it was like my way to show to people, oh, you are close to my heart. No, I trust you. And
Mm.
then it was very sacred for me when I like got out all my, because I had it in, I didn't even, I think when I was a kid I had a notebook and a journal maybe, but at some point I just had some loose things here and there,
Mm.
and it was a very sacred act to do that. And I remember, and I don't know how it happened, because as many things in my life, they are very magical or strange to me. Couple of years ago, a friend of mine that studied with me in Venezuela, she wrote to me because she was always telling, keep writing, Gabby. But maybe because of what I was sharing small things in Facebook maybe or something like that. And she offered me to organize what I have like all here and there written, and she needed a little bit money because in Venezuela the situation is so it was a deal. No, I helped
Mm.
you make. I did even only pictures with the phone because I have a lot of things here and there, and she organized a document with all my poems and all this stuff, and she always said keep writing. But as you said, I didn't believe myself to be a poet or a writer. It was just something that was emerging from myself, especially from very intense or emotions, and through the work with the body, it became in a different way the way I write. No, so I also, I mean, I did also journals through my healing journey or my self development journey. I did
Mm.
a gratitude journal, and I was sharing with you before recording that for a year I was like very, so I tried different ways. No, the way that they said in the way of the artist, that you write in the morning everything and just like let out
Yes, yeah.
everything. I even try in the during night that I wrote like what I learned and all this stuff. But through the work with my body, it refined the way I perceive what is coming. So it's I can sense when it's still in the invisible world, and then I sense it in my body, and then it goes out and I write it, and it's like a cooperation. I don't know how to explain.
Mm,
For example, I went 2 weeks ago. I was in Spain presenting my poetry book, which, as you said, this permission to write is quite a thing. I published my book because one of my friends told me, Gabby, all what you have written, you need to put it in a book. I have a friend,
yeah, I love
and
it.
I
Yeah.
and I put it in the book. And even when the editor came back to me and told me, Gabriela, this book is ready to be published. I don't need to change anything. My mind, my critical mind was saying, yeah, this lady is just saying that because she wants my money. No, it was not a big amount of money I pay for publishing. It's just, but you know, the narrative, no, and believe
Mm,
in yourself. And 2 weeks ago, when I was there and presenting and sharing what I wrote to share there, it was so powerful. First, because now I have seen how is my process is very refined now in that sense that even when I read the things that I write, I say, wow, how did I manage? Because I cannot write from the mind only, no? So it's like I'm like a sponge, and I think that's what we were talking about this spring is this cooperation between the winter. In the winter, you have all at least in the world I live. I mean, in the Chinese cosmovision, and now
yes.
all the shamanic work I'm doing with all this also the seven directions and all this stuff I was working just and you have all the winter is all this that's starting to form. It's where this wisdom live, no, or these things, and then it comes into life or through the when a seed is in the womb of the mother earth, it come outside in the spring, no. So it's this cooperation, and I think that then my body is like this canvas of this cooperation. So I work with qigong and all this stuff that I can be in tune with what is present for me, and so I write. And as you, I have like I don't know how many different
Yes, love it.
things. I have he is my partner for my
Lovely.
shamanic journeys and all this stuff. So yeah, writing is. It's key and essential to digest, to organize, to also to weed out and to um yeah to organize and structure my life and my experiences in a way that I can grow from there. And now
Mm,
that I'm thinking to write my second book, I mean alone because I have been writing with other people like a co-author.
yeah.
I think it will be a good opportunity to resignify and see from a different perspective all the different experiences in the past years through my divorce, leaving the corporate world. So I think writing is so powerful, and that's why maybe human beings have needed to, not only writing but storytelling, right?
Yes.
Storytelling is one of the oldest rituals or I don't
Mm,
know things that humanity have need. No, we have stories about many things about creation, about destruction, because
relationships.
yeah, they share common experiences as human
Mm,
beings in ways of symbols, and that's also why I'm so thankful to be able to write poetry because I feel that all this symbolic language is so beautiful to connect with your soul.
mm,
So yeah, that's why writing, what's writing for me, it's a kind of it's part of who I am.
mm. But I love that whole thing when you said about winter coming to spring. Some of these ideas, some of the ideas that we have, we allow to flourish. Some of them we will sprinkle with water and we'll create that, the conditions for growth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're creating now new conditions for your new book to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Same for me with my current piece that I'm writing. And I think that in terms of how we're using May, we've got more light. There is it's beginning to get more, the temperature is going up. There is something around really that chance to get going now. So
Mm-hmm.
leaning in to that full energy, which is going to come end of the month into June, of growth.
Yeah.
So what can we do? And I'm not asking you to answer the question, but maybe this is a question for our listeners. What can we do to, and I'm doing my hands like this, so it's
Mhm.
almost like a protection. And one of the things that I've been thinking about recently about boundaries, because we have to put boundaries and support ourselves as writers. I've started to think of a boundary like a hedge.
Mhm.
And in a hedge, you have multiple life forms living in that hedge. You have birds nesting, you have insects, you have the plant itself. There's gaps and there's thorns. And in the hawthorn hedge, you're going to have those sharp thorns, which support us to keep out some of the distractions when
Mhm.
we're writing. But then we resource ourselves through um, the living nature of the hedge
Mhm.
whilst we are focusing on our work. And I'm really running with that in my head at the moment. I love it. I'm noticing hawthorn hedges all around me where I live.
Mhm.
And there's this beauty and life, but there's also a boundary and safety and security.
Mhm. Mhm.
So maybe that's something we could take into our writing life for the rest of the month.
Yeah, and I think for everything in spring, no. So when I'm listening to you, I'm not that, I mean, knowledgeable with plants, but but when I try to like grow some plants, I remember you start by a small scale, so you just have seeds
Mm,
in a small vessel, and you start to see which ones
come
grow,
up. Yeah.
and when they are ready you just go for a bigger pot and these things. So
Mm,
I think for me spring is in that sense you have a lot of ideas and inspirations that maybe you draw from the stillness of
mm,
winter, meaning in these seasons, but also in your daily life. In a week, you can have all these cycles. No, you leave some space, you rest, and you have a lot of ideas. Then you come to a point. Okay, you have also to decide. Decision. I think decision making is clear. It's
mm,
important. It's vital for because if you have too many things, then you get confused, distracted, and focused, and that's where it comes all this safety and boundaries you are mentioning. Not you put your
yeah.
boundaries to yourself also, not only to the outer world. Which
Mm,
boundaries do you have with yourself, in the sense not to keep you rigid and but to give you the basis and the structure to allow that to grow like this.
mm.
As a this you come from small pots to grower to bigger
Bigger
pots
pots. Yeah.
for the plants. Is you see, okay, the conditions are given that this grows farther. And
Mm,
in the terms of energy, for example, in qigong, where you put your focus, the energy goes. So it means you need to also be aware of your energy inventory. I guess
yes. Yes.
you work as leadership energy coach.
Yeah.
You might do an energy inventory, to say,
Mm,
okay, I am capable to bring this through the whole phase, no, even if
mm.
it's writing or writing a book and
Or a project of some
or
kind. Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
I think as for me, spring is a good time to be aware of your energy. Even always is a good time, but in the spring, especially when you start to decide which projects you want to put the focus
Mm,
and the energy and the work, right? So yeah, I think this boundaries, structure, protection, honesty with oneself. Can I make it through? If it's more creative, that it needs a lot of more fluid, like you were describing, you just have notebooks and try to dance with all that. But even that dance needs an envelope to work.
yes. Yes. And you decide. So, people, I hope you've enjoyed our discussion and maybe it stimulated some ideas for you in terms of your writing process, your library of information that you keep. How do you create those boundaries and safe spaces? What's ready to go from a small pot to a bigger pot? You know, is there something ready or what needs to be just nurtured a little bit more before it's transported? Remember when we were talking in March about putting the roots down growing down. So we're trying to link now the work that we've been talking about in previous months as we go through the year. And hopefully you'll be able to come back in and remind yourselves from time to time as you watch these videos going forward. Well, we're going to say goodbye now. And it's been lovely talking to you, Gabby. And I'm going to do a bit of writing after this session.
Great, Sam. So
Yeah.
it's been lovely connecting to you today. So thank you very much. And don't forget to do your energy inventory and to be honest how much you can take up because
Oh,
you will avoid some frustration. So also take the time to do
absolutely.
that. Okay.
Ooh. So embodying energy, embracing seasons, that's with wisdom.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.